members. A warm welcome to the policy briefing. It's about time to get started. We have the quorum and I'll call the meeting to order. I'd like to invite the EEB representatives into the chamber. I'd like to take you through the procedures. The Bureau will be giving us a presentation with the aid of a PowerPoint, and members will take the floor to put questions after the presentation. So have a listen to the Secretary first, and please make it brief when you speak. Very warm welcome to Mr. Jejin Wang, Secretary for Environment and Ecology, Ms. Irene Yang, Permanent Secretary, and Ms. Diane Wong, Under Secretary, Ms. Ivy Law, Deputy Secretary, Mr. Edward Yu, Deputy Secretary, Mr. Mickey Lai, Director of AFCD, and Mr. Donald Ng, Director of FEHD, and Dr. Christine Wong. Secretary. Under the EEB, we have the food branch as well as the environment branch. On Monday, we have already briefed members on the work of the environment branch. As regards the food branch, it covers the livelihood issues and food industry, and we're coordinating food safety, animal welfare, animal management, food and agriculture, and this has everything to do with the day-to-day life, and we are respond to public needs to enhance the sense of well-being. The government has been improving illegal extension of shopfront. We have achieved pretty good results. We have introduced a system whereby we have the license first, inspection later system, and we are assisting Hong Kong food to be exported to the mainland, covering meat and dairy products. We have a advance release arrangement. The hairy crabs are directly imported to Hong Kong. We also have the blueprint for agricultural development. In terms of human-animal harmony, we have shortened the time taken for the import of dogs and cats in Hong Kong from 120 days to 30 days. In terms of burial service, we are promoting the use of public niche and improve the crematorium services, and we have enhanced the services there. We're also concerned about the OSH there. We will continue to optimize and enhance these services to align with the spirit of the 15th Five-Year Plan. We will carry out deep-seated reforms and attach importance to new quality productive forces and to create opportunities for the trade. One of the areas is to implement the pet-friendly policy, and we relax the restriction on pets for 30 years, and pets will be allowed access into the restaurants. In the beginning of this year, the FEHD will be expediting the approval of the outside seating area, and we will be promoting the development of food industry in Hong Kong. We will enhance the cooperation with the mainland. Food manufactured in Hong Kong will be exported to the mainland in a broader variety, and Hong Kong will play the role of a hub for food. And we also work on the basis of the blueprint for sustainable development of agriculture. We will be taking forward the modernized production, and there will be a unified brand to be created. And we have the system for certification testing and traceability to enhance the competitiveness there. In terms of environmental hygiene, we will deploy technology to enhance the efficiency to protect public health. Together with the Buildings Department, we have enhanced the pilot scheme for dealing with the water seepage in buildings. And this is an important area that we set great store by, and I hope that you will support our work so that Hong Kong will become a more livable and decent place to live in. And I have given you an overview of our policy. I hand you over to the Permanent Secretary, who will be briefing you on the latest regarding the work of the food branch. And thereafter, I'll be only too delighted to exchange views with members. Thank you, Permanent Secretary. Members, I'll be taking members through the work of the food branch under the EEB and also the tasks going forward. On the PowerPoint, you get to see the organization structure. The food branch is responsible for hygiene and also to foster the sustainable development of egg and fish, and also the pet-friendly policy. As you can see, we have the AFCD and FHD under the branch. The AFCD is responsible for agriculture and fisheries and pet-friendly policies. Now we also have the government laboratory. We are providing support for the government laboratory, and the government laboratory is not just only serving the EEB, the police, the customs, and the DH. Will be commissioning the government laboratory to conduct forensic testing and examination. So in these areas, the government laboratory will be answerable to all these different departments. Let me turn now to the major work and the latest progress. First, environmental hygiene. The FHD is responsible for street sweeping and household refuse collection. It will monitor the hygiene black spots on streets and back alleys with enforcement as required. The EEB, over the past few years, has amended the relevant legislation. The first phase of amendment was implemented in 2023. We have increased the fixed penalties for offences such as littering and shopfront extension from $1,500 to $3,000 and $6,000 respectively. The idea of raising the penalty is not to impose penalty per se. We'd like to achieve some deterrent effect there. And it shows that 1 year after the implementation, the fixed penalty has been reduced by 90%, and the streets are become now cleaner than before. The second amendment took place last year. In this phase, we strengthened the FHD's power to address the environmental hygiene issues. We empowered the power upon the FHD to deal with the obstructions on the street and also the pest control issues in buildings. The progress has been really smooth. The FHD's enforcement work would involve public health nuisance like water seepage and air conditioner dripping. Water dripping is primarily caused by the structural and equipment damage, and the property owners do bear the responsibility for proper maintenance. We have the joint office operated by the BD and FHD to deal with the complaints and also take enforcement action. Last year, the number of cases stood at 15,000. In terms of air conditioner dripping, we have introduced a new policy whereby we do not deal with the cases upon complaints. We would be identifying areas where there is some serious problem, and we would conduct door-to-door follow-up. We have applied this policy to 300 black spots. And typically people would be using the air conditioners at night, and the FHD has introduced the infrared night vision equipment to identify the sources of dripping. The department has also deployed manpower to carry out operations in the morning and the evening. From last summer to November, we have dealt with 1,500 cases, 30% more than the same period last year. Pest control. The Undersecretary of the Bureau, Ms. Diane Wong, is chair of the steering committee, which comprises 3 departments and 11 different organizations. Together, they are putting together the direction for pest control. Now, this pest control is not something that the government can handle single-handedly. We have to count on the support of various stakeholders. So we have introduced the cross-disciplinary, cross-sectoral practice, and we are trying to tackle the rodent issues by tackling the food sources, the harborage of the rodents. We have also introduced various measures. We have the nighttime teams to lay the baits. We also introduced new facilities to identify the movement of the rodents. We also have large bins to handle, to collect the waste. In terms of mosquito control, we do have the gravity traps all over Hong Kong to conduct operations in collaboration with various departments. There are cases of chikungunya fever and also dengue fever that are transmitted by mosquitoes, and the FEHD will have to redouble their efforts together with the CHP to tackle and to control the mosquitoes there. There are a lot of issues under the FEHD. On a daily basis, the FEHD is collecting something like 5,500 tons of domestic waste, and they have to use well over 1,000 refuse collection points on a daily basis. And we have to improve the working environment and refurbish the off-street refuse collection points. Public toilets. There are 800 public toilets coming under the supervision of the FEHD. The department has been improving the facilities, and we're deploying new technology in order to improve the hygienic condition and the user's experience. We are mounting publicity campaigns to enhance public awareness of clean toilets. In the community, there are a wide variety of views regarding hawkers. Some consider them as part of Hong Kong's characteristics, and they also are job opportunities, while others would think that they are causing obstruction and cause environmental hygiene, and also giving rise to fire hazards. The hawker policy has its own historical background, but we have to move on with times. We have to balance public expectations between public hygiene as well as the public concerns. We will be providing the suitable sites for the hawkers to operate. We have 5,000 licensed hawkers in Hong Kong. The FHD would be rearranging the vacant fixed hawker pitches, and the members of the public are welcome to bid for them. In Yumen Market and Temple Street, we have broadened the range of products to be sold. Public markets. There are 95 public markets under the FEHD. 13,200 stores are provided. Many markets were built years and years ago, and they're getting dilapidated, and we have been improving the markets to enhance their competitiveness and operational capacity. We have the modernization program. We have covered the Aberdeen Market, Lai Wan Market, and they have been refurbished. And the Queen Street Cook Food Center will also come under this program.
We hope that the public markets will continue to serve the public, but we also have to be aware that the supermarkets are selling similar products online and offline. So the behavior of the citizens have also changed over the years. So if the utilization rates of certain public markets is low, we may have to close them or consolidate them so as to release the valuable sites for better development of the community. Next, I will turn to food. We have governed about a lot of food premises, over 40,000. I have always been reminding my colleagues that we are a regulator. We have to regulate them, but also we have to facilitate business. So without compromising food safety and environmental hygiene, we try to simplify the licensing requirements. Over the years, we have introduced a number of such measures to remove barriers and reduce their operating costs. So you can see some of the measures in the PowerPoint. So we have the license first, inspection later option so that they can obtain the license first with the professional certificate under the professional certification system, and then the department will conduct an audit check after they've got the license. Also, we have released a type of food that can be sold under the light refreshment license. Another measure is that we have introduced a composite permit that covers multiple restricted food items. This will obviate the need for the operator to apply for approval separately and pay for the cost of each item. Well, food safety cannot be compromised. The CFS has been using a risk-based approach to try to collect food samples for testing and try to release the reports regularly. And also, we promote best practices among the operators. We also take into account the mainland and international standards to try to formulate and update the food safety standards for Hong Kong. Recently, we have revised the legislation concerning the preservatives and the antioxidants, and also the prepacked jelly confectionery containing powder. We have to be a good regulator for food so that the citizens can eat well. This is also one reason why the brand Food from Hong Kong is so popular. This is already an international brand, and it has a lot of economic value and gives rise to a lot of employment opportunities. So we pay much attention to the development of the food industry from Hong Kong. In the 2025 policy address, the chief executive has said that we will facilitate the sale of food from Hong Kong to be sold in the mainland. We have reserved a site in Hong Yun Wei border control point for the development of a food industrial park with unique features, so to enable the synergistic development of the food industry and the tourism industry. A lot of the food in Hong Kong has made use of the fresh produce from Hong Kong. Actually, the agriculture and fisheries in Hong Kong has a long history. We are now actively promoting the sustainable development of the blueprint for the development of the agriculture and fishery industry in Hong Kong to enhance competitiveness. We have, through a private-public sector approach, tried to develop the modernized techno-agricultural park, and we have been advancing with the Agri-Park Phase 2 Stage 1. On the format of the palm farming, we have already obtained consent from the Town Planning Board for amending the definition of the term open space to include urban farm. The first such farm is being implemented in Sai Sha Road Garden as a pilot. This project was started last October. So apart from the sale of farm produce, we also have educational activities conducted there. And also we have incorporated urban farming into the assessment scheme of the Building Environmental Assessment Model Plus as one of the indicators of green buildings. Since last year, the middle of last year, the first batch of marine fish culture license has been issued. And we also provide financial and technical support for the development of deep-sea fishing. For pond fish culture, the Sanpo Shi WCP, Wetland Conservation Park, will be a venue for deep sea for pondfish marine shipping. Also, we will continue to enhance the leisure, agriculture, and fishery industry so that they can provide dishes which are cooked from the produce from the fish and aquaculture farms to enhance the experience of the visitors. Another important area is the management of animal welfare to prevent the nuisances caused by stray animals. We have introduced, rabies vaccination and licensing for dogs, and we also govern the sale and breeding of dogs and animals in Hong Kong. Since 2024, the end of that year, we have adopted a risk-based approach, and we have revised the quarantine arrangements. So the number of the type of animals from Group 3A, like the mainland, Thailand, etc., after they come into Hong Kong, the quarantine period for such dogs and cats have been reduced from 120 days to 30 days. We will also take enforcement action against acts of animal cruelty, and will promote pet adoption and also promote animal welfare and encourage our citizens to be responsible pet owners. On burial services, I want to introduce the cremation services and also the handling of cremated ashes. In Hong Kong, over 90% of the families of the deceased use such services. We have 6 crematoria, and we produce over 50,000 sessions. And we have to increase our facilities and also replace the old cremators in phases. For the Kwai Chung crematorium, the reprovisioning is underway. It should be completed by 2028. On the handling of cremated ashes, we adopt a 3-pronged approach. First, for the public niches, we have implemented extendable arrangements and also removed the number of sets of ashes that can be put there. Also, we continue to enhance the provision of such facilities. About 5 years ago, the public niches, there is actually no waiting time. So every applicant will be allotted a place. For the private columbaria, in May last year, we have enhanced the legislation to protect consumer interests and also the sustainable operation of private columbaria. With the continued enhancement of the green burial facilities and services, I think the citizens are more acceptable to discarding the ashes at sea and on gardens. The number of green burial users accounted for about 90% of the number of deaths last year. So the various different kind of services have a common theme, that is the adoption of technology. This is actually one of the themes running across all the services that we provide. For example, the digitization of food business licenses and burial service have been implemented. We also use robot dogs for mosquito control work, and also we use thermal detection cameras with AI technology for tracking rodent activities. Through the Sustainable Agriculture and Fisheries Development Fund, we provide financial support for the industry to upgrade themselves. For the new fish culture zone, we provided modern deep sea cages for the operators to use, and we also have multi-story livestock farms to enhance the quality of our services. On enforcement efficiency and the strengthening of occupational safety and health protection of staff, we also make use of technology. We've been trying to use automated sweeping robots and robot dogs to help with refuse collection and street cleaning. Also, we make use of small unmanned aircrafts for surveillance area in the air and also evidence collection. Given the shortness of time, I will not talk about each and every use of technology, but I think in future meetings we can elaborate on that a bit more. Lastly, I would like to talk about the key areas of work for the coming year. In the last policy address, we try to promote coexistence of animals and people. So we will try to lift the statutory ban, which has been in place for 30 years, and allowed dogs to enter food premises. We would use food safety as the paramount condition, and also the environmental hygiene will be accorded priority when we introduce the legislative amendment. Also, we will introduce regulation as additional licensing conditions. Also, we will produce good practice guidelines for the trade and also the customers. So for the permitted food premises, they will have clear display signage so that the customers can choose whether to enter such premises or not. We will consult this panel very shortly, and we will release the paper next week. We hope to release the first batch of applications in the middle of this year so that the dogs will be allowed to enter the permitted food premises. We will continue to improve implementation and enhance the measures as necessary. Also, we will expedite the approval of outside seating accommodation. Under the steer of the Deputy Secretary for Administration, we have streamlined the procedures, and we also have internal guidelines for joint vetting. So we have also briefed the trade, and we hope that for the first half of this year, we will make use of the new arrangements and to expedite the timing for seeking of approval and streamline the procedures. We also plan to step up environmental hygiene and pest control. We will install more IP cameras to over 3,000 spots, and we will make use of unmanned vehicles to monitor the situation. We will also apply for inclusion in the low altitude economy regulatory sandbox pilot projects to test the use of unmanned aircrafts for street cleanliness inspections. Also, we will roll out the Anti-Rodent Partner Awards 2026 to commend the owners, corporations, and property management. Also, we will actively explore and introduce different anti-mosquito equipment and technology. To enhance the equipment for collecting refuse from the rural areas, we have introduced fully enclosed refuse collection facilities. We will extend that to about 100 locations. We will also refurbish and improve the public toilets. We are uplifting about 480 public toilets, and about 202 of them have completed the renovation work. And we will commence another 105 projects for renovating public toilets. And we will also try to install smart public toilet system in about 50 public toilets. For water seepage in buildings, we are trying to map out a new strategy, and we will come to consult members and brief you on that. So the joint office will roll out a pilot project in the first half of this year, and they will try to make use of technology and streamline the procedures so as to identify the source of seeping as quickly as possible. And we will carry out the Stage 2 initial investigation and the Stage 3 professional investigation simultaneously. The FEHD has joined hands with the DOJ and rolled out the public scheme on community mediation since last July. And we provide training on mediation for the management building staff. We have trained about 130 such staff. And we hope that we can make use of mediation to resolve issues concerning water seepage, because experience tells us that mediation is a good way to address seepage building problems. In the first half of this year, we will try to identify a suitable organization to construct and operate a multi-story pig farm. So this will be a landmark. The site formation works will be completed within this year. And we will also provide technologies and financial support for the trade to make use of automation and equipment and technology so as to achieve efficiency and sustainability. In the new fish culture zones, we will provide deep sea cages for the operators to rent. So the first 3 deep sea cages will arrive Hong Kong. 2 more steel stress cages will be provided, and they will come into operation shortly. And this will enhance the development of deep sea marine culture. We hope that within 15 years, we will be able to increase our products by 2 times. Most of you may have already tried the food provided by our local farms. And this year, we'll try to roll out a new united brand for such local produce. With clear certification, testing, and traceability, we will try to promote the good quality of such produce.
The new brand will enhance the competitiveness of the products. The quality will be enhanced, and this will achieve sustainable development of egg and fish products in Hong Kong. We will also promote the development of the food industry in Hong Kong, will assist Hong Kong manufactured products, food products, to access the mainland market. We have secured approval for Hong Kong-produced food items like meat and dairy products to be exported to the mainland, and for beverages and frozen drinks, starting from 2024, we started with the advanced release arrangement. We will be seeking more markets. We will produce the Hong Kong food from Hong Kong and encourage the food industry to seize the opportunity and harness the market. The CFS is implementing this year's food surveillance program. It intends to continue to conduct the second total diet study within this year, and we'll be consulting on the use of sweeteners, standard of sweeteners. There is a need to increase the facilities for burial services. We'll be seeking funding from LegCo for a new crematorium to be built in Wall Hub Shack. There will be 10 cremators, providing approximately 22,000 additional cremation sessions per annum. The project has received endorsement of the North District Council, and we hope that we will get the approval of the council likewise. The Apley Chow Market and Inwo Hui Market refurbishment program will be completed in April and July this year, respectively. And the 3 public markets, the new ones, in Tin Shui Wai, Area 67, Zhong Guan O, and Kutong North, will be completed in 2027 and 2028. So much I have to say, and I welcome questions. Thank you very much, Secretary and Permanent Secretary. And thank you for the briefing. This will enable us to get a better understanding of the work of the EEB. There are 10 members on the list, 11 including me. We have plenty of time. Please do not repeat the points already made. One more, 12, including me, 4 minutes for the Q&A. Ms. Christine Fong, Mr. Stephen Ho, Ms. Jodie Kwok, Mr. Jonathan Leung, Mr. Leung Man Kwong, Mr. Ling Chik, Mr. Chen Chen Ying, Mr. Hong Kam Yin, Ms. Sophie Chan, Mr. Chen Pok Chi, and Mr. Lee Kwong Yu. Ms. Fong, thank you very much. I'm grateful to the Bureau for the hard work, and they have done a lot of commendable work, which is playing for all to see. I'm glad that the pet-friendly policy will be introduced by the middle part of this year, and you'll be looking to start the application for the OSA, the outside seating accommodation. Now, there are many seeking to have OSA in Sai Kung and other areas. Public markets. I'm grateful that in Zhang Guano there will be public markets I am more concerned about the old markets. I just look at the lift facilities, the renovation there in the Sai Kung market. Now, for the old markets, I think you have to evolve with times. Would you consider, for the public markets, outsourcing some of the older markets for management? Second, permanent secretary, you mentioned the Maongshan, Saisa market. There's the pilot urban farm. Now, this has been implemented. Are you going to be doing the same in Zhengguanou and Sai Kung? In Lohas Park, I hope that there would be a similar farms to be introduced there. I'm also concerned about the water seepage pilot scheme. I heard from the secretary that action will be taken. People are very concerned about the seepage problem. Will 14 days be sufficient for people to make a response? Are you going to be using the microwave or the infrared facilities to check the water seepage problem? And in Zhengguo, there is Area 686 joint user building. Now, that's the headquarters of the government laboratory. Now, what is the progress of the construction and the timeline there? A final question, if I may, and that is you're having a hard time managing the public toilets on the outlying islands. Now, in the country park, like Hamtin Bay, you have a good public toilet, but there are only 2 cubicles. There are so many people camping out there, and they are making a mess of this toilet. Now, for the hotspots, are you going to be outsourcing these facilities for management? Only 1 minute left. So you have put 5 questions, so you pick and choose to answer. Please, Secretary. Thank you very much, Madam Fong, for the question. On the question of water seepage, we will certainly be coming back for detailed discussion. The Permanent Secretary touched on this a moment ago. You mentioned the markets and also the hotspots, whether we can outsource the management. In fact, we keep all the options open. Whatever option is most suitable, we'll certainly be prepared to adopt them. We will have to look at the actual situation. Now, USA, indeed, we do have the joint review system. The idea is basically a one-stop service to handle the matter. Sai Kung, Zhengguanou, urban farms. Yes, urban farm. We will look at the experience of the Maongshan pilot in Sai Kung. We'll definitely consider whether it is possible. It depends on the location. But for other questions, you might wish to follow up on another occasion. Mr. Stephen Ho, thank you very much, Secretary, and all the government officials for their hard endeavors. They've been doing a good job over the past 4 years. Urban farms, I mean, we have seen a number of activities that has gone down well among the public. I am more concerned about pets. Well, next time we'll be discussing restaurants. I'm not going to put a question here, but I like to say that we have to look at the risks and the actual issues. In the mainland, that they have published the surge of rabies, 233 cases of death. The death rate is 90%. I think the government ought to have a platform to explain to the members of the public the meaning of non-infected areas. Now, of course, we'd like to be able to bring our pets to the Greater Bay Area, but I think that this will expose us to the risk of rabies. Now, my question then is, in terms of rabies, there are sporadic cases of trouble, and I hope that the government will be identifying ways to deal with the problem. Perhaps we can have some green channels. We can have some low risk areas. And I hope that the department will be liaising with the mainland authorities as to how we can facilitate the passage. And also the revitalization of the wholesale market. Because of the constraint of the existing system, many of the wholesale markets would be lying vacant after the morning rush. And I'm sure whether we can do something about it. Yesterday, there was a question here about an environmental corridor, and there is a wholesale market where there are many tourists nearby. Now, if we can fine-tune the arrangement without affecting the operation, we can certainly revitalize the economy there. I hope the administration would consider the fish wholesale market or the vegetable wholesale market. I know that Director Lai has done something at the Chengsha market, and this has to do with the produce. Some of them are imported from the mainland. Perhaps some of the private laboratories can be stationed there. And I don't think Mr. Lai has sufficient power, and more support should be given to him. And this also may have to do with the restaurants. Finally, we used to have floating restaurants, and for the old vessels, we can sell them. But if we want to build a new vessel, we will be subject to a lot of constraints. The government should conduct more study. We are prepared to work with the government in terms of food safety and hygiene. 30 seconds, please. Thank you very much, Mr. Ho, for the question. The marine economy, whatever we can do to help Hong Kong go forward, we are only delighted to consider them. If members have any suggestions, please let us know. We're all ears. And indeed, I would like to take forward the economic development and also the egg and fish development there. Now, pets, we will definitely do more explanation there. Now, we do have a system whereby the animals will have to be quarantined because of the rabies concerns. But we hope that we will be able to deploy technology to facilitate the passage, the access of the animals between Hong Kong and the mainland to guard against smuggling. Now, for the wholesale market, we'll certainly have a look at this and see whether some reforms can be conducted. We can have a package of measures now for this, for individual items, whether they have other uses or other development proposals. We will collaborate with the Development Bureau there. Right, the floating restaurant, you might wish to come back with a reply later. Ms. Jody Kwok. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you very much for the presentation. Now, we have highlighted a lot of the issues of concern to the public. I'd like to highlight 3 issues in the interest of time. First, about water seepage. For the victims, water seepage is really wreaking havoc to the day-to-day life. Now, for the owners or the occupants, if they are uncooperative, the investigation will be really long drawn out. Under the municipal service ordinance, a warrant will have to be sought to conduct further investigation. Will legislative amendment be considered to facilitate the entry to premises to identify the sources of water seepage? You will deploy technology, but would you consider some technology whereby you can identify the sources without entry into the premises, and that would shorten the time taken for investigation? And also, there was some talk about the pilot community conciliation program. Now, this is a really wonderful idea. 130 people have been trained up. If you let us know some more statistics. Now, for what is the success rate as a result of the training program? Now, how are you going to take this forward in order to help more property management people. Public markets. Now, there is very much a trend for people to go north to spend the money, and I don't have to go into detail about it. Now, in terms of hardware upgrading, I don't think the existing markets will be able to meet the present demand. Would there be any overhaul? Now, perhaps people can buy the fresh ingredients, and they can go upstairs and have the dishes cooked there for them. That may galvanize the economic development. Third, pet-friendly policy. The Secretary mentioned that at the next meeting, more details would become available regarding the dog access to the restaurants. Now, the members of the public are very concerned about the types of restaurants that will be allowed. What about the food safety, environmental hygiene, and so on? And there are some restaurants that are very interested, and they will be trying to measure up to the requirements. Perhaps you may wish to let us know more details to assuage public concerns. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Secretary. On pet friendliness, we will brief members fully at the next meeting. So the paper will be released to members next week, so I won't spend time on that today. We will have sufficient time to discuss the issue at the next meeting. On water seepage, I think you're correct that we are concerned about the matter because a lot of people will be affected. We have been making use of technology to address the issue. But the first problem that we always come across is that the procedure takes a long time. It takes a long time to identify the source of seepage, and then the owner concerned will be able to take action. For the cases that we have come across, we think that almost 10 out of 10 cases are due to the owner above the fat being affected. So usually when there is water seepage, we will ask the property owner upstairs to conduct investigation. And we hope that with a new concept, we will be able to initiate a change on public markets. We note that the mode of operation has been changed, and we are looking into the matter. We may have an informal exchange with members to understand about your areas of concern, and then we will come up with proposals and revert to this meeting to have a detailed discussion on the future of the markets. On mediation, it is really a very effective measure. We find that it is helpful. I don't have the statistics at hand, but we got the impression that about 70% of the cases can be resolved through mediation. So we think that this is even better than government intervention. Thank you, Secretary. Next, Mr. Jonathan Leung. Thank you, Chair. Well, I've been working in the districts for many years, and I would like to thank you for your contribution to improving livelihood. For the trade, we noticed that the SEC has introduced a lot of measures to simplify procedures and remove barriers. But we find that the trade has to apply for a lot of licenses. The professional investigation and also the license first operate first, license later arrangement is also good. But we note that the application for license is still complicated for the operators, and they hope that there will be further streamlining, especially on the standards. Can they be made clearer? The operators have also asked whether we can make use of AI to further streamline the procedures. This is the first point. Secondly, on food safety, we have come across a lot of parallel import of goods. They may even bring along seafood from the mainland into Hong Kong, and they may not be properly put in cold storage, and then they will be sold to various people through different channels, some of them even online. So how are we going to ensure food safety and to alleviate such arrangements? Secretary. On food safety, I will defer to the controller of the CFS, Dr. Wong, to talk about that. On the licensing arrangements, we have introduced a lot of changes. It is not being investigated by the department. We ask the professionals to assist in the investigation, and then we would issue the license. It is only after the issues of license that we will conduct audits. So the operator can ask the professionals to work quicker, and then they would know when they can start operation. So this is a very new arrangement, so the government will not stand in the way. Of course, we'll be willing to have further facilitation measures for the trade, so do let me know in which particular area that they are facing problems, and then let us know, and we'll discuss about that further. On food safety, I will defer to Dr. Wong. Controller, Dr. Wong. Thank you, Mr. Leung, for the question. On the parallel import of goods, we pay much attention to that, and we're concerned about that. Apart from the control point areas, we also take samples at the retail level. We have conducted various testing of the food samples. On the import of goods, we will liaise with the relevant departments like the customs. We will have joint operation to curb the parallel import of such food. Next, Mr. Leung Man Kwong. 3 questions and suggestions, and it is focused on the key area of work for this year. On environmental hygiene, they would make use of new technology. The high-pressure cleansing equipment is operated manually, but now you want to have robot dogs and unmanned equipment. So are these equipment being tested, or are they being used, or are you still testing different models? What's the latest progress? So, Chair Lady, can you lead us to learn more about the effectiveness of such new technology and equipment? The second question is about the local brand. For the Food from Hong Kong brand, we have a lot of high-quality agriculture and fishery products, and we have the food festival, which is getting more and more popular. But recently, we noticed that some of them may not be unlicensed or without a license, but they seem to be pretending to be local products. So I think you should enhance certification. This is an important element because you have to boost the confidence of the local citizens and also help the development of the industry. So how are you going to provide certification and accreditation? Lastly, about the promotion of food from Hong Kong to the mainland, there may be incidents in the past. It seems that some of the products may be labeled as food from Hong Kong, but they are actually not. So on the accreditation of such products, how are you going to tackle them? Do you have a plan? Or are you going to have a large-scale promotion activity so that all these products can be certified as made in Hong Kong and sold in the mainland? Thank you. Secretary. For the adoption of new technology, we have actually been using most of them, but some of the equipment are under testing. If they are proven good, we will try to make full use of them. And we can arrange for members to look at such equipment and see how the technology is being applied in Hong Kong. On the establishment of the Hong Kong brand, we are not just thinking about a label. We want to have a certification system, testing, accreditation, and also traceability of the sources so that you will be able to tell when the product will be produced. So the whole system and mechanism will be established to ensure that the quality of the local produce will be guaranteed. So we would also conduct promotion work At the initial stage, we may be targeting the local consumers of such agriculture and fishery products, but the longer-term target is that we want to sell them in the mainland and even overseas. So we want to promote the food from Hong Kong as a high-quality brand. And we want to target also the mainland and the overseas markets. Also, we want to make use of the mechanism for processing agriculture and fishery products from the mainland, and then they may be sold under the Hong Kong brand after the processing in Hong Kong. And we want to make it a more systematic approach. So if members have any comments and suggestions, please do let us know. Next, Mr. Elaine Chick. Thank you, Chair. Some colleagues have talked about the permission of pets to enter into food premises and also the public toilets in rural areas, so I will skip them. But I want to talk about the quarantine of animals imported into Hong Kong. For the Class 3A, the quarantine period will be released. This will be a welcome approach. So after the relaxation of the quarantine period for Cat 3A countries, so do you have figures on how many such animals have been imported into Hong Kong, or will people give you false documents about the quarantine of such animals? And will you consider establishing a mechanism if the countries under Cat 3A or under other categories, if they perform well and they show low risk, will you advance them to Category 2 or even Category 1? But if they don't perform well, will you demote them to Category 3B? So do you have specific requirements regarding the different categories for quarantine period? I noticed that in January, February, for a number of schools, they have food poisoning issues.
keep 住去巡查。
I understand that the administration has been inspecting about the factories producing lunch boxes, and you have also taken samples for testing. But for the handbook, it is only updated in 2019 for the provision of lunch boxes to schools. That is an old sort of handbook. So will you review and update the handbook and also the mechanism?
係，或者一間就住嗰
On the statistics for quarantine period, I would defer to the director of AFC. For the schools' lunch boxes, I would defer to the director of FEH. For the quarantine inspection, on the one hand, we want to facilitate the import of animals into Hong Kong, but then on the other hand, we also have to pay attention to disease borne by animals. So we are not just shortening a period from 120 to 30 days. We also require vaccination of the animals. They have to have examination by the vets in addition to vaccinations to make sure that they are not carrying any diseases before they can go for quarantine. So for the different countries, if they are included in the mechanism, the respective government concerns also have to provide us with information to ensure that they have proper vets and also laboratory facilities. If there is any problem, we can take follow-up actions, and we would try to maybe advance them to another category or demote them to a different category. So for the procedures, of course, we can also try to simplify that, but I would defer to the director on the number of statistics. Also, on the inspection of schools, I will also defer to my director, Donald Ng. Director Lai first. Please switch on the mic for Mr. Lai. Thank you for the question. On the number of quarantine cases, I don't have the statistics at hand. I will provide such to members afterwards. My understanding is that during the quarantine period, we have not identified any problems or disease issues concerning the animals. Of course, the development of vaccination and quarantine is different in different countries, but we would defer to the WHO for the situation concerning rabies. As the Secretary has said, we will try to change the countries into different categories according to this actual situation.
Will director's mic be turned up, please? Please try again. Turn up the mic, please. Director's mic. Please. Am I coming through? Yes, please. Very quickly, Madam Chair. In terms of food preparation for schools, we're doing 3 areas of work: inspection, and also guidelines for the caterers that are preparing food for the school. Third, we also do talks for either the caterers or the school for them to properly prepare the food. The member mentioned inspection during the high-risk period. There would be more inspection. The CFS and also the department will be collecting samples for inspection, for testing. Mr. Roderick Chen. Madam Chair, thank you. 3 questions. First, about environmental hygiene. With the legislative amendments, the administration said that there is a 90% reduction in fixed penalty tickets. There are still 2,400 cases. Now, for these cases, where are they? Are they in any particular districts or any particular shops? Now, with the drastic reduction in the tickets, are you going to be focusing your attention on the repeated offenders in order to keep the number further down? And also the Joint Office, you have handled more cases, and there will be a pilot scheme to be rolled out this year, and all this would require manpower. Now, for the Joint Office, you have 4 offices in different locations: Hong Kong, Kowloon, NT West, and NT East. In Kowloon, there are 6 big areas. What about the manpower situation, given the increase in the number of officers? If they're not manned by the number of officers, you will not be able to get anywhere. Also, the anti-rodent charter. Now, you said that there will be an anti-rodent partner awards this year, and this is commendable. That there are 65,000 residential premises, and they're taking part. There are 3.5 million in Hong Kong, representing only 20% participation rate. How are you going to be boosting the participation rate now? And how do you evaluate the participants? What criteria would you adopt to evaluate them in this exercise? Secretary? Yes, about the anti-rodent award scheme, I defer to the director, and also the manpower of the Joint Office and the deployment of manpower. I defer to the FEHD. But the overriding principle is that we would deploy the manpower in accordance with the demand. We prioritize areas where there is a need. And with these improvement measures, I hope that this will effectively focusing our manpower on areas where they are most needed. Now, we're not simply counting on the increase of manpower alone. Yes, the award scheme, Director. In December 2024, we launched the anti-rodent charter, covering 65,000 households. Now, for the joint management premises, we also invited them to join. Now, for this anti-rodent award scheme, when they sign up for the exercise, the FHD will be issuing some guidelines, and the residents mobilized to take part. So for the owners corporations, the property management companies that are taking part, we basically are trying to incentivize them to work harder. And depending on the effectiveness, we will give them some commendation. Director, will you supplement that information? Yes, in relation to manpower, thank you very much for your concern, Mr. Chen. The Joint Office has seen an increase in numbers. Last year alone, we handled 45,000 cases, and we can certainly increase the manpower there. But basically, we have to make sure that the manpower will be deployed effectively. As the Secretary said, we will be dealing with the whole process. We'll be ramping up the entire process. And one of the members mentioned the entry of the premises, and that would be very time-consuming and manpower-intensive. With some legislative amendments last year, we have really speeded up the process, and we managed to gain entry to the premises for investigation. Now, with the procedural changes, I'm sure that the effectiveness of manpower deployment will certainly be a lot better. Mr. Hong Kim In. Thank you very much, Secretary, for attending today's meeting and briefing us on the policies. And this enables us to understand what effective work that has been undertaken. There are three areas of questions. The first one is para 12 about public markets, the modernization program. According to the paper, there are a number of projects that have been completed. Now, for these modernized markets, are there any statistics regarding the vacancy and also the improvement before and after the modernization? And what criteria would you adopt to conduct the evaluation? The government has been promoting the food industry in Hong Kong. That certainly will be very important to the industry. Now, my question is, will the administration be procuring products manufactured in Hong Kong in certain activities? In the mainland, they're also holding a lot of activities. Were you recommending the food products manufactured in Hong Kong to give more assistance to the local food industry? Third, the environmental hygiene has everything to do with people's sense of well-being, and the street cleanliness would mean a great deal. Now, what is the supervision and monitoring of the street cleanliness? The people are telling us that it's only during rainy days that the streets will be cleansed. Would you be posting the KPIs on the web for the members of the public to monitor the situation as well? Secretary? Yes, street cleansing by the contractors. We do have a very specific arrangement. It's not the case that they will be cleaning the street on rainy days. Now, for the markets and the street cleanliness, I defer to the FHD, but having said that, we will be prepared to promote food from Hong Kong in events organized by outside organizations. We are definitely encouraging the adoption of local products. But we're not going so far as to mandate this across the board. But definitely for the events organized by the government and other parties, we'll certainly do so. When we have built up a brand, we can expand the promotion program in order to broaden the coverage of local food products. FHD, please. Now, after the revitalization program or refurbishment program, members are concerned about the footfall and also the operation of these markets. We're also concerned about this. Now, for example, the Aberdeen market or Lai Wan market, for instance, we carried out some refurbishment program. As a result of the exercise in terms of footfall and business level, there have been improvements. Aberdeen, Lai Wan, we've seen the footfall increase by about 15% before and after. And the Queen Street Cook Food Centre refurbishment has also been carried out, and footfall has seen an increase of 16%. Sophie Chen. Madam Chair, thank you. 3 questions, if I may. The research division of the council did publish some information about the hawker management. The licensed hawkers has been coming down since 2000, 8,063, coming down to 4,448 in 2024. Will the government be relaxing the issuance of fixed pitch hawking licenses so that succession can take place for the successors to provide a wider range of choices to the market goers? Now, people may want to fend for themselves, but they cannot do so. Now, there is a Tin Kwang Hui in the NT. I put a question to the Permanent Secretary. I'm grateful to them for their coordination. I hope that similar bazaars can exist elsewhere as well. In terms of market policy, I would like to ask some statistics about the vacancy rates and so on. Now, paragraph 12 of the paper specifically mentions something that filled me with concern. The FHD will be paying attention to the utilization, and where necessary, they will be consolidating and closing some of the markets. Now, of course, we would agree, we would support other developments, but what I am concerned about is it the case that if the markets are vacant, you're not going to be doing something to attract the footfall? Instead, you will be first considering closing them. And also the joint office, they are not really handling the cases satisfactorily. In 2025, there is a pilot scheme which I look forward to. Paragraph 36 says that you're deploying technology to identify the sources. But people who are affected would like to be briefed on the progress of work. They hope that the joint office would brief them, would bring them up to date about the progress. Now, we talk about AI being used in the pilot scheme. Are you going to be doing something about this with the aid of AI? Thank you. Thanks very much. Secretary. Thank you very much, Madam Chan, for your questions. About hawker policy, the Permanent Secretary already touched on this a moment ago. For the fixed pitch stores, we will be making available all these vacant stores for public bidding, so the people who really want to get involved in this business will have an opportunity to do so. Over the years, we have easily 500 or so licenses for public use. But they're not exhausted, but we will be making available more for public application. Now, in terms of succession there may be some undesirable activities there. I think it would be better for us to make available all these stores for public application. The assistants and so on can also make an application, and there will be enough turnover there. And the number has been coming down. As I said earlier, for the markets, we really have to consider the positioning of the markets, and we will be exchanging ideas with members before coming up with some specific recommendations.
我哋見到真係用得好少。
At this stage, we're trying to look at markets which are being underutilized. We'll try to see if there will be alternative uses of such sites. But if there is no demand for markets, then maybe at the end we'll consider closing them, but that will be the last option. Also, we will consult the district councillors concerned before we do that. Well, sometimes because of the development in the district, the market may become underutilized. For the joint office, we will also revert to members. The concept is that we will try to change the modus operandi and the procedures so as to expedite the process.
處理嗰個嘅問題嘅。
So as to tackle the problem quickly, Ms. Chen has suggested the use of AI so that the complainants will be aware of the progress, and certainly we'll go back and see how we can enhance communication. Next, Mr. Chan Pok Chi. Chair, colleagues, the Secretary said that he would work with the industry to map out a sustainable blueprint. But for the agriculture and fisheries area, I think they are not just mapping out a blueprint, they are actually implementing the blueprint hand in hand with the trade. You can imagine that under the situation in Hong Kong, you want to have a tenfold increase of produce within 15 years is not easy. And for the Agri Enjoy and the Fishery Enjoy program, these are also new measures. And we try to align with the technologies used in the mainland. We also encourage youngsters to join the trade. Colleagues have also talked about urban farms. I hope you can come and join the wasabi salad vegetables that we have produced. I have a question for the administration. On paragraph 17 and 18, we talked about the agricultural park. So how are we going to build the niches or unique features of this food industrial park? How can we have innovation there? And how can we enhance the food processing investigation, etc., so that there will be better synergy and will be more popular for the citizens and achieve greater economic benefits as well? Thank you, Mr. Chen, for your question. On the one hand, we try to make use of the blueprint for the sustainable development of the agriculture and fishery industry to have better development for the trade. We want to go for high technology. And we not just want to increase the amount of the products, but also the quality of our products. And also we hope to entice more young people to join the industry. So this is one of the important direction for our development. On the development of the local agriculture and fishery industry, we think that we have a new opportunity. We can have the development of food industry in Hong Kong. So the food produced locally in Hong Kong, they are actually very popular in the mainland and also locally. So for the first step, we want to build a local food brand. And we are working on that. And I think by the middle of this year, we will come back to members and explain the details to you. So it is not just a labeling, but also we talk about certification, accreditation, source tracing, etc. So it will be a very reliable brand. And also we have to conduct promotion work as well. And also, we think that we can expand the scope. We have a lot of high quality products. If these mainland products can be imported to Hong Kong and being processed here, then it will also enhance the scope of the food from Hong Kong business. And it will also create job opportunities, also for the transportation trade. So this is something worth looking into. We have also been liaising with the mainland of authorities. We would try to identify good quality agriculture fishery products so that they can come to Hong Kong, and on the other hand, for the quality Hong Kong products to go into the mainland for sale. So we want to enhance the custom clearance procedures to facilitate the movement of such products. Also, we have already reserved a piece of land for developing a food industrial park. And we can't just rely on the government. We have to work hand in hand with the trade on this. Next, Mr. Lee Kuan Yew. Thank you, Chair. And also I want to thank the Secretary and the PAMSEC for the introduction. I have two thanks to make and two questions. First, I want to thank you for developing the pet-friendly environment. We're going to lift a 50-year-old statutory ban to allow dogs to go into restaurants. For the second thank you, I noticed that the administration has made use a lot of technology for the enforcement action and also for occupational safety and health, etc. And you are also using new technology for identifying water seepage buildings. Two suggestions on the public markets. I think you may be aware that for the mainland, they have a lot of chain supermarkets and stores. They notice that a lot of young people won't cook at home, so they already have the prepared dishes. That means they can allow the customers to buy the food there and then cook there. So what they do is that they buy the fruit from the market and then they will cook the food and then they will leave after consuming the food. So this is a new model. I think we can consider that in Hong Kong as well, so that we don't have to go to the last step of closing the market. The second question concerns enforcement. So apart from water seepage, we also come across cases where refuse will be a problem for certain public housing units. I hope there will be interdepartmental cooperation so that you'll be able to help the single elderly residents to provide cleansing service for them. So apart from pest control, it is also a prevention of fire hazard for these households. So if you have manpower shortage, I hope you will collaborate with the care teams and ask volunteers to help. So I hope the administration will pay attention to this. Well, the time for our meeting should be ended at 3 p.m. If members do not object, I think we will finish the meeting after Mr. Shiu Ka-fai and myself have asked the question. So I'm going to extend the meeting for a little bit. Secretary. Thank you, Mr. Lee, for the two suggestions. On public markets, we do see that the demand for public markets have changed because of the changes in the behavior of our citizens. And we are changing more and more rapidly. So we also try to look at the experiences overseas to see how the changes in people's lifestyle and behavior would affect the demand for public markets. And we have certain views on that, but this is a very complicated issue and we need to discuss with members. And then we may come back to you with more concrete plans and suggestions and formally discuss them with you. Well, thank you very much for your suggestion. We do notice the situation that you have mentioned. On helping the elderly people and especially the singletons to clean up their houses, I think the YHAB have been working on that and will also try to help. Next, Mr. Shiu Ka-fai. Well, thank you, Chair. I noticed that the EEB has been providing a wide range of services for our citizens. It seems that everything is under your turf. So I think you've been working very well. I only have a few questions. The first one is about the food industry. Apart from concerning livelihood, I think we also have to promote economic development of Hong Kong. I think developing the food business is important, and if you can identify space in the northern metropolis, that would be great. And also, if you can establish a Food from Hong Kong brand, that will be very nice. I noticed that there are a lot of good food in the mainland. If these food materials can be transported to Hong Kong and processed here, they can not just be sold in Hong Kong but also elsewhere. So please introduce a bit more to the operators and the trade concern. I think for the past 2 years, our streets have become very clean, and you also have fixed penalty tickets decreasing in number. So I think this is a successful area. But of course, we also have to balance the environment for the businesses to thrive. In the past, some of the products may be put on the pavement, but now they cannot do so. There cannot be shopfront extensions anymore. But for some of the eateries, they may be putting some of their stuff a little bit, on the pavement. Would you be giving them some allowance for that? Maybe you can charge them for rent. I hope you will be more flexible. I can hear from the operators in the past year that they are facing operating difficulties. It seems that their businesses are going down. They have difficulty in attracting customers. So I hope that you can see how you can assist them in this aspect. For the public markets, it seems that the stores are being rented out, but a lot of the stores are not open if you go to visit the markets. Where actually you rent out the stores for them to conduct business. But I think Hong Kong is undergoing a transformation. For a lot of our citizens go north to shop for groceries. So this affects our markets. So apart from consolidating the markets, I think maybe you can install air conditioning inside the markets and also try to look at the locations of the markets. Maybe they are not in great demand. Perhaps you can use the sites for other developments, which may be more beneficial to the community. So you may have to bite the bullet and close them. On the I think I'll just stop here. Thank you, Secretary. Well, thank you, Mr. Shiu, for your suggestions. We have been discussing the issue with you for quite some time. I have talked a lot about the food business, so I'm not going to repeat myself. But I think this is an opportunity for Hong Kong, and we will try to work hard on that so as to develop a food industry in Hong Kong, not just for going into the mainland, but hopefully, to go global as well. On the short-term extension, it is a difficult situation, and we have now come to a situation whereby our streets are clean and clear, and that's not easy. But maybe for the loading and unloading activities, we would also provide convenience allowances for that. And we will have enforcement conducted reasonably. I also talked a lot about the public markets. We try to look at the positioning of the public markets in the long run. We want to have more in-depth discussion on this subject. We also will try to see how we can revitalize the markets. And then for the markets which are not in great demand, maybe we can think about alternative uses. For the long term, we really have to look into the positioning of the markets in the long term and also the strategy concerned. Thank you, Secretary. Lastly, my turn. 2 questions, 2 suggestions. First, burial services. Starting from the 1st of January, the moratorium of the public hospitals will not be free anymore. This is not under your portfolio, but during your introduction, you've talked about that for the 6th crematorium, you have over 50,000 sessions for cremation. But now you have about 22,000 sessions to be provided for the new 10 crematorium. So when will they come into place? By 2028, the refurbishment of the cremator will also take quite some time. So why does it take so long? I think the sessions for cremation is important because the citizens may have to pay for the storage of the deceased in the hospitals because the cremation sessions are not available. So can you shorten the waiting time for such a service? I noticed that in the past, the performance pledge is about 15 days for having a cremation sessions. But now with the new measure for the public hospitals, there will be fees charged, and it is undesirable. So I would like to know for the burial services mentioned in the paper, can you compress the performance pledge regarding the waiting time for cremation service? Secondly, on street cleanliness, I know that you've been working very well on shopfront extension, but it seems that you are not doing that well in other areas. I visited the Mayfield area and I noticed under the flyovers you have a lot of sleepers. I noticed that for street sleepers it straddle various policy bureaus, but then they have created a lot of refuse on the streets. They all say those are their belongings, but then there will be rodents, cockroaches, etc. In these areas. I feel rather helpless. It seems that your colleagues cannot address the issue because street sleepers straddles various bureaus and the problem is very complicated. So will you consider amending the legislation and provisions regarding the placing of refuse, on districts, and also waste paper cartons?
Two recommendations. Market management. It is the FHD that manages the market, and I don't think the operation should be blamed on the department. Would you be considering outsourcing the operation? We keep receiving complaints about the markets. Many of the markets are really becoming very desolate, and feral pigeons, and I hope that there will be complaints or video recorded complaints that will be received. Secretary. Yes, feral pigeons. Whether we receive any video by way of complaints, we will have a look at this. If there are any ways that they would assist our prosecution, we will be happy to consider them. As the market management, I've already said before that we would be prepared to explore various ways to improve the situation. In the long run, we have to consider the positioning. People's lifestyles and consumption patterns are undergoing rapid changes. So we have to consider the positioning. We'd like to explore all these options with members. As regards the burial arrangement, let me explain this. We talk about 15 days. There's the sessions available for choice within the 15 days. It's not the case that they have to pick the 15th day, that they may be able to pick the second day, whatever day it is. Would depend on the situation or their preference. They may have other preferences, and they may have arrangement rights with the funeral parlor. We do have sufficient number of sessions available, and people don't have to keep their remains a lot longer. And there is no bottleneck there at all. street sleepers, that this is not a question of refuse, it's a question of human beings. And we definitely will be working in collaboration with other departments to tackle the issue. If we can do it, we'll certainly be prepared to do it, as we have to deal with human beings. It is rather difficult because we're dealing with human beings. But they have been hoarding a lot of rubbish on the street, and that's for sure. You are constrained by the law, obviously. Right, thank you very much, Secretary, and your team for addressing the questions. We don't have any other business. Meeting is now adjourned. Thank you all very much.